Thank you, Joel, for stopping me from falling off of this stage. Really is just so good to see you all, and I'm sorry I'm sitting with my back to some of you. But what a cool night. I've been looking forward to this for a number of days, and we've been chatting with Mans in the office, and I got to sit down with her for, must have been close to an hour and a half the other day, just chatting and hearing their story. And we're not going to be able to get all of their story out in half an hour, guys. So would love for you to just ask them and go over to their home. I think part of their ministry is being on their veranda. I'm just inviting guys over to your house, by the way. But just being on their veranda, on their stoop, having a cup of coffee, going for a swim on a Sunday afternoon or whatever. I'm really giving you a whole house away here. But that's the best way to get to know the Paulsens. I hope we can open up something of their story tonight. But maybe before we get to that, I know family can be, for a number of reasons, a vulnerable space, for lack of a better way of saying it. I think so many of us can feel disqualified by our family, or I think particularly when you're trying to advance in the kingdom, the enemy knows that if you can get a family, and if he can get into a family, he's done a lot. So we are aware of that tonight, and tonight's not about this is a star family that we need to try and model. That's not what tonight's about. This is not a qualifying and disqualifying evening. It's about us all learning how to walk through this journey of faith. And what I've loved about the Paulsens is they've done that beautifully. They've been through their trials, and they've been through their difficulties, and they've been through their incredible, beautiful moments at the same time. But what I've loved about them is they haven't stopped. I think that's the beautiful thing. They've sown into community. They've bought into here wholeheartedly, even through the ups and downs of life. And I think that's why we wanted to just chat with them and give you an open view into their lives. And I know this is not your guys' comfortable space. Gav would much rather be behind a chainsaw. Mans would much rather be making some hot dogs, and Lil's being somewhere involved in between all of that, energizing everybody. You're called the batteries of somebody when you're out in Zim. Is that the case? Which is beautiful. So just before we there's a scripture that we read during prayer, and I love this because the heart of family is Jesus. It's nothing else. There's no heroes here tonight besides Christ. And it says here in Ephesians 3, it says, "For this reason," this is Paul praying, "I kneel before the Father, from whom every family in heaven and on earth derives its name." And what does he pray? "I pray that out of his glorious riches he may strengthen you with power through his Spirit in your inner being, so that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith." Then he goes on, "And I pray that you, being rooted and established in love, may have power, together with all the Lord's holy people, to grasp how wide and long and high and deep is the love of Christ, and to know this love that surpasses knowledge, that you may be filled to the measure of all the fullness of God." Isn't that a beautiful prayer? I think that's my prayer for tonight, is that we would see Christ in the midst of a family doing what he does best and filling us with his love and with his grace. So, the Paulsens. I've called them the plucky Paulsens. I think Nick said that once. I don't know if it came from somewhere else, but I absolutely love that name. The plucky Paulsens. It's just such a good name for you guys. So maybe just quickly, give us a little window into your guys' world. So how long have you guys been at Red Point?
I've been here 27 years.
27.
I think 30-something.
30. You were in grade?
Sorry?
Class? You were in class?
Class 2.
Class 2.
Yeah.
Amazing. Came with your mum, eh?
Yes, yeah, my mum brought us.
I've been here my whole life.
Obviously.
So almost,
Through those first few questions.
Almost 20 years now.
So maybe just quickly, okay, we know how you got here. So you free of this one, Lils. Gavin, Mans, how did you guys get here?
We came in my car.
Okay, let me rephrase my question. How did you land up joining Red Point initially?
My mum brought us.
Your mum brought you
We were
guys?
little kids, yeah.
Okay.
Somebody, we had just moved to Pinetown from Vryheid.
Yof.
And my mum met someone at work who invited her to Victory Faith Centre at the time. And yeah, so that's how we started coming.
Gav.
Yeah, I worked at Alpine Motors, and there was a guy there, Lawrence Underwood, and he invited me. And I didn't come the first time he invited, so he carried on and on and on, and eventually I said, "Okay, that's it, I'll come." And yeah, the rest is history, eh?
Amazing. I heard that you didn't like coming because you're riding bikes on Sunday or something.
Well, Sunday was for riding bikes and washing bikes. More important things to do.
So then I've got to ask, how did you guys meet? You two. You know how you came lost. So.
Yeah, Gav just kind of showed up at church, and then we started chatting, and then there was this I think when it was like a young adults group, and when we were in matric we were allowed to join, and there was this guy, and we were at the Super Tubes in Toti.
Yoof.
And so he said, oh, what about that guy, with his tiny shorts and his little red goatee? And I was like, no. Anyway, a year or two later, bada boom.
Bada boom. You told me he was vibing with somebody else there, but then...
Yeah, no.
yeah.
No, he was vibing with somebody else. Although he told me today he wasn't, so
He wasn't.
I'm like, not sure.
You're just playing a cool Gav.
Yeah,
Anything you want to add to the
he
story?
was mine anyway.
You fell over head over heels when you saw her going down the super tube? No, nothing like that.
No, we were both actually helping with an alpha course, and Mandy just needed a lift. That's the only reason we actually started, So I gave her a lift. She worked at the California coffee shop, so yeah, I just gave her a lift to the alpha, and
That was that. And you guys were how old?
Sorry?
How old were you?
When we got married, I was 19.
19.
Yeah,
Young guns. I'm just saying here. Too late. All their brothers. I mean, I'm just saying. Gav was
Lily's 19.
working. He was employed by how old? You were grafting by
I was 23.
23 when you got married. So, guys, I'm just saying you got a little bit of time here. So, very cool. So, maybe just to get into some questions. So, give us some values of your guys' family. I love this. So, go for it. Go wild. The values that you guys have as a family.
So the first thing that came to mind was kind, only kind. We have this especially when we used to have lots of kids around, kind, only kind. Kind, yeah. But we would say kind, only kind. Like that was if you came to our house, the kids would gather and I'd be like, what do we do here? Kind, only kind. And that's like how you are. That's how we treat each other.
Very cool.
It doesn't always work, but so that's one.
I think we always just get involved. I've tried to teach our kids that when something's happening at church, we get involved and we
100%.
go. Much to they don't always want to come, but it can be amazing to watch. Yeah, it's exactly. Drag them out of bed to go bush clearing. But it's actually amazing to watch how they come kicking and screaming, but.
Yeah.
When you go home, they've actually all had a great time. So it's actually
amazing.
been amazing to watch.
Yeah.
God's grace in all that.
I remember those
stuff.
bush clearing times, the whole family coming. I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was kicking and screaming, but now you're getting the truth.
Not all of them.
But even to the prayer meeting on Thursday where we were praying for the elections, one or two of them were like, well, we want to stay at home and study. And I said, you can study when you get home. Let's just take this hour. Actually, this is important. We are praying for your future, and I want you to be there. And they were fine. They came, and they're still alive, and they studied, and we'll see how the exam went.
Very good. Lils, some values that you've learned from your folks.
Me.
Yeah.
One I definitely know is to be respectful and honoring of your parents and just people around you and older people in your lives. So something I notice I do a lot is when I meet somebody who's quite a bit older than me, I'll be like, I'm going to use Auntie Anne's as an example. I'll be like, Auntie Anne's or Uncle Gunther. It's just a form of respect in a sense. It's
Beautiful.
I don't know how to describe it,
No,
but
it's good.
the value is honoring and being respectful of people and other people's stuff, and
It's good, Lils. Any other values?
Do you want the dog story?
I love the dog stories. Please give us the dog story.
So we don't have money for vet bills, and so we kind of have a value that if one of our animals is sick, we all come together, we all lay hands on that dog, or the cat.
Or cat.
And we all have to pray. Like,
Out loud.
It's not, yes, yeah. It's not like, normally we're like, okay, come, we're going to pray. And if you don't want to pray, that's fine. But like when it's for the animals, we all pray. And it's built the faith in them because like they're like, oh gosh, the dog's sick. Come guys, you got to pray. And it's just one
And
of
the
our
amazing
family
part is the dog
Bibles.
gets better. Like, I've heard stories of this family laying on of hands and Coke's fine again, It's like, it's amazing. I love that. Very cool.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've loved that about you guys, I remember the one time, so Gav's like a can-do man. If Mike's getting something done, he'll, like, I remember this fence out here. So, I think, Mike, you just gave the whole thing to Gav, didn't you? Amen. And Gav took it, and I mean, I don't know if you've seen this fence out here, but it's like it's been installed by professionals. We had a concrete team here that is still amping. They're frothing at the mouth to get going again because they were like, it was just like this incredible just culture that you guys created. I thought it was beautiful. So we're busy working there. I only was there for one session, but I see Mans rock up with hot dogs and rolls and Cokes, and I'm just like, this is incredible, And I think we've had the benefit of seeing you guys getting knitted into community, and we can deeply see that that's the value of yours. And I think that's what we've loved about you guys is when you get involved, you get all in, and it's all behind the scenes. I mean, nobody would have seen that, but you guys have constantly done that. I remember the one time I heard my dog barking at my gate, and I thought, and they were in our life group at the time, and so I go down and I check there's this packet hanging on my gate. And I'm like, eesh. And you hear these stories, So now I'm like, okay, hey? Tools, you don't know the stories, bro? Oh, yo. Next week we're talking on humility. But I'm like, is somebody like, is there a bomb? Literally in my mind, I was like, is that a bomb that's been dropped at our gate? So I go down and I like gingerly pick this packet up. And there inside is a packet of coffee beans. I don't know if you guys remember that. You dropped off a packet of coffee beans at our home for Life Group. And it wasn't even for Life Group, it was just randomly. And I just thought, that's the type of guys that you are. You're just behind the scenes, serving, loving, caring for people. And you're such a joy in that sense. So thank you. Thank you for doing that. So your non-negotiables. Have you got any non-negotiables that are different to your values?
We do church on Sunday.
That's a good one. No, but it's big.
That's it.
You did church on Sunday?
Yeah. And the other one is that our kids come to youth. I had a chat with Nick once, and he was like, how are the kids? And I was like, yeah, Lily was doing Scout. No, they must come to youth. And you know what? Thank you, Nick, for saying that. Because, we've brought our kids, and at times kicking and screaming, I want to go, I've got no friends, nobody likes me. And I was like, well, then you go be friends with somebody that nobody else likes, or you go, you're going. And Mike and Kate have been incredible in just like including them and loving on them and and others as well. Like I think, the whole youth. You guys are. I can name everybody, and they've brought them in, and now. Max was away on Friday and saw Kate's status. So, I missed it. I can't believe I missed it. Looks like such a vibe. And, a few years ago, he wouldn't have been interested, And I'm like, so thank you to you guys, that we can have that value.
Beautiful. Very good. You got any non-negotiables, Lils? Yeah. Just going to throw you under the bus here a little bit. Yeah. You don't have to. I'm just asking. Is there any of that jumping out at you?
Oh, one non-negotiable that we have is no phones in the bedroom, which is when it first was introduced, none of us liked it. Even still now, we don't generally like it. But it's such a good value because now what ends up happening is sometimes you'll walk past Max or Zoe's bedroom or even my bedroom and you'll just see our phones sitting outside.
On the floor.
But on the floor, like next to the door because we want to play music but we're not allowed the phone in the room. So the speaker's in the room but the phone's outside. But then it's... but it works.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Passage. But yeah, that's one non-negotiable I can think of.
That's very cool.
Unless you want to have like a phone call with a friend, then you ask. You're like, Mum, I want to have a phone call with so-and-so. Can I have my phone in the bedroom and do the call? And then she's like, yes, you may. But then as soon as the call is over, the phone comes back out the bedroom again.
Very
so.
cool. It's
Yeah.
actually beautiful. I mean, that's something we can't even talk about too much here, but you guys have really wrestled through the whole tech space with family, and I think you've really been doing that well. So you guys are welcome to go to their stoop again on a Sunday afternoon with the pool and ask them about how they've done that with tech. But really, like you've... Yeah, this one?
See the phones.
See the phones, yeah, in the room. Or not in the room, but maybe... I love this question, because you're speaking about community. How has community shaped your guys' family? I know it's a broad question, but maybe just go for it. How's community shaped you guys as a family?
Gonna go.
Go, Gav.
Go, babe.
Well, I think we're a product of the community, very honestly. Like, I've looked at men in the church just to take my lead as a dad, you know. So it's guys like John, and I can name plenty of guys around, but it's just looking at them ahead of me and seeing what they've done well and just taking from them, you know. And I think our family is a product of this community. We really are. We've gleaned all the great things from different people and sort of used that, you know. So yeah, I definitely think we're a product of this community, really. Yeah. And it's thanks to this community that we are who we are, really. Yeah.
I think, you know, when you have babies, yeah, people bring you meals. When you're sick, people bring you meals. When there's, I don't know, home renovations to do, people come and help you. You go and help people. It's part of like being the community, and yeah, and that's just it's been. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Just learning, like Gav was saying, picking up like diamonds in people, you know. I think we've learned like generosity from John, and I've learned kindness from Francois and Ingrid. I've learned how to pray from you, you know. And sometimes it's like you just said something once in prayer meet, in life group, in your life group, and it impacted me. Other times it's been like just listening to Nick talk and talk and talk has like built this like love
You weren't
of
long,
the word.
Nick. It was just once, many times, you know.
Don't be cheeky.
Getting you back, man.
But just like it's built this love of the word in
beautiful.
me, you know, and like everything, all our values, our non-negotiables are kind of built on the word, you know. Like there's scriptures for just about every kind of the reason we do things, you know, like sitting together at the table and eating together, you know,
Beautiful
and
value.
like fellowshipping as a family together.
Yeah.
You know, Glenn Miller taught us that our children are our first disciples, and I'm like, I love that. I love that. You know, we can't neglect what's in our home. You know, they're our first disciples. Am I plowing into them as hard as I'm plowing into my life group and others, you know?
Very good.
Yeah, so it's shaped us, it's formed us, it's taught us a different way. Maybe it was unnatural for me, it felt unnatural for me to pray out loud.
Yeah.
Now, I'm like, I love it, love prayer.
Beautiful.
You know, so, you know, it's just like it can shape you and form you. If you allow it, you know, you're like, no, I don't pray. You know, you actually, you got to allow it. You got to have a soft heart and allow the community to shape you, you know.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Pray for the dog. Wilson, for you, how's community shaped you?
For me, I know...
And you're speaking on behalf of your siblings as well, eh? So just...
on behalf of my siblings
no,
as
I'm just
well.
kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, they got their own stories, their own views. But did it die?
No.
It died for a second. But I know for me, like, community is a big part. I think it first started when, actually in Kidsmen, just being involved in Kidsmen, and then when I got to grade 8, I joined the Kidsmen team. I didn't instantly come to youth because I was doing scouts, but I think the first community I got involved in was doing Kidsmen with the Tot Zones, and it's so cool just being involved there, being involved with the parents and like the kids, and getting to see the kids grow up. Like I went out to grab some water now, and Theo came up to me and said hello and gave me a big hug. And I remember teaching him in Kidsman like years ago when I first started. And it's just so cool being able to like see that. And then upon joining youth, like that community has shaped me so much, and just getting me involved in things. And they'll be like, oh, we're doing this or we're doing that, please come along and help. And then it's like, okay, I'll come, I've got friends there, it's gonna be fun. And then because they like, you just advertise it so well. I don't know if that's like the right word, advertise, but like it's always such a blast to come and get to work within the community, and do things together as a community, because like everybody's just so amazing. And yeah,
that's great, beautiful. And I know community, it is wonderful, but it can also be tough. Like the reality of, Jesus teaches us to say, forgive us daily as we forgive those, which means that you're close enough for people to do wrong to you. Like that's how I see community. Like you get close enough for people to offend you, and a lot of people struggle with offense in community. If I could just, like, people will leave because somebody's spoken to them strongly, or something may have been done that wasn't your way, and people can get offended easily. And I know you guys have had your ups and downs along the journey, and people have spoken to you, and it's easy to just come out, or you've gone through a tough time, or how have you guys handled offense? What's been like your safeguards in handling offense when people come and speak to you? I mean, correct, rebuke, encourage, train in righteousness. How have you guys walked through that space, just to help all of us who...
Just don't get offended.
Like Mike.
No, Mandy always says, geez, you've got such thick skin, So, but I think it's that part about building a relationship with people, like people can only speak into your life if you've built a relationship. And I've had some guys just say to me, listen, you best spend some little bit less time at work and more time with your wife, or else, and you're like, oh, and it is, at first you're like, who are you to speak to my life? You don't know what's going on. You don't know the pressure that I'm under. But it's actually that thing about love, like they actually love you more than what they're worried about offending you.
Yeah, that's good.
And I think that's the thing. It's just like, is to have those friendships that are a little deeper than just that superficial, like somebody says something, you're like, oh, that's it, I'm out of here,
Yeah.
So and thank you to guys like that like pull you back onto the straight and narrow when you're drifting.
Beautiful, Gav.
I think that's the thing.
Beautiful.
I think I'm a little bit more sensitive than Rhino Skin Boy. But he doesn't. Like, I'll be like, and he's like, no, I didn't get offended. What did they say? I'm like, but then you kind of realize, it's a huge blessing having a husband who is, who's just solid, who doesn't take offense. And I, like, sometimes, I can just hide behind that. And kind of like, and then work it out, and go, okay, wait, maybe I was just hungry. Because, sometimes
it's not that deep, I'm just hungry.
I was just hungry, or you know what, I'm like, it's just something that, and sometimes I think it is a bit deeper, where you actually have to, like, you're kind of getting ready for church on a Sunday, and you're like, oh, I hope I don't bump into them. And of course they're the first person you bump into, because Jesus wants us to deal with this stuff, He wants us to be free. He doesn't want us to be holding on to offenses. And actually, I think if we can that's why I love the Word, because if we live our lives based on the Word, which is a lot of our, like I say, a lot of our absolutes and our non-negotiables and our values are based on the Word.
Beautiful.
And we can forgive each other as God has forgiven us. We can love each other deeply, for it covers over a multitude of sins. And sometimes it's a me thing, and I've got to, like, okay, Lord, like, help me. And sometimes it's a them thing, and you have to be like, you know what? I'm not going to hang on to an offense because they are having a problem or whatever. Actually, let's pray for them. You know, yeah, that's how we've. And we're here. We're not going anywhere. You know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The plucky Paulsens.
Yeah, you know, just like in a family, you know, your brothers and sisters irritate you or offend you, your kids offend you, you know, that kind of thing. But you can't leave.
Yeah, it's good.
It's a family, you know, and I can't imagine being in any other community besides the people that are here that we love.
It's beautiful. And I've loved that about you guys. You know, like you've taken the knocks, you know, and you've been teachable. I think that's beautiful. Like, I think you guys have really been teachable. You've been humble enough to receive, because a lot of people aren't, you know, and you've received correction. And actually, I love how you say you're a product of the community, because I think we all are, in some sense. We've allowed people to shape us and to mold us, and that's been beautiful. So, well done. Maybe last question. So, whenever I put out a Zim call or a mission field call, generally, I've got Muriel messaging me, I've got Lils messaging me, and then if it's to Lesotho, Gavin Mans are in whatever 4x4 they can find, and they're up the hill, and they're going. So, I mean, missions has been a big part of your guys' world. Maybe why? Why do you guys value being in the mission field, and not always together, but I mean, something's been caught from somewhere, and I just thought maybe you could just speak to us about why that is, or where that is, or what that came from for you guys.
I think for me, I was thinking about it today, and when I was in this church at the age of 10 or 11, Sean Cox used to come on a Sunday and he'd teach us a dance and or a song or whatever, and then he'd like whip us off to the beachfront. Okay, you guys dance. And we'd dance, and then the crowd would come and he would preach, you know, and that's like... It's just, that's how we grew up, you know, and we would like, you know, okay, next Saturday we're picking you all up, meet at 10, and we'd all pile into his little old, that little maroon Honda of his was like rusted to pieces, and all in there, and we'd go to Pineville Junction, and they'd open up the stage and we'd dance, and then he would, you know, a crowd would come and he would preach, and so I think that's like a deepness that, like, as a child, you're getting this, like, you're catching something, you know.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and I think I've just carried that.
Gav?
I think it's just for me, I've just seen it, you know, the reality of it. The guys saying, let's go, and then they go. You know, they don't say, let's go, but nobody's actually going, you know. And it's just tucking in behind those kind of guys, you know. Andre and Yvette, just let's go, and they go. And you just tuck in behind them, and you go on a trip and you get hooked, eh? It's an adventure, eh?
It really is.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And it's what we see in the Bible. That's what we see Jesus going and doing, so we go do it, you know. So,
beautiful. Simple as that, eh?
Simple as that, eh? So you see it, just go do it.
Beautiful. Nils?
For me, it's watching my parents go on mission and hearing how they've gone on mission to, like, Mozam, and like I think some of their Mozam stories are like some of my favorite. But I think it was 2019, they did a year of every 3 months going up to Lesotho. So like it would be my mom, my dad, the Schleikers, and sometimes Max went with, and Glenn and Sam? Yeah, and Glenn and Sam, and they would just go up for the weekend. So we would all get left with somebody, Omar or one of our other granny and grandpa, or I don't know, we would just get left with somebody. And I can't really remember the weekends very well, but I just remember they kept going like faithfully and consistently every 3 months. And
Beautiful.
then sometimes my dad would literally go like every month, once a month. But like I know that was just where it started. And then I got to go on a Lesotho trip in my matric year. I had to pull some strings at school because I had an exam, but it was a practice exam, so I didn't have to go. So missed an exam. But I just remember it sparked this like fire for mission, like to go out to the nations. And and then last year doing Roots, getting to go down to Cape Town, and then Mauritius and then Zim, and now like having a fire for Zim. And yeah, so like just getting to go on mission and seeing and like experiencing what I've heard in stories from them and from others in the community has like, yeah.
It's beautiful, Loz. It's very good. I've loved seeing the generational piece of your mission journey. I mean, Muriel, I'm not even sure how old your mom is. I don't know if you can ask people that, but she's maybe like mid-40s or something, you know. I got blown a kiss for that one. But really just beautiful, just to see actually generationally you guys give. And it's amazing, like I think Abs and I have had to wrestle through that, you know, like actually to keep going, because it's amazing if you don't. It's like your family implodes, but it's amazing when you go. It's like God, somehow everything finds its place as we live in the mission field, you know, and I just loved that about you guys. And I've really loved, I mean, you say we learn a product of community, but from your guys' side, like I've seen you wrestle through things, you know, like we've seen you wrestle through things. And I've seen Mans and Gavin come in here tears, you know, but I've loved that it hasn't stopped you. And I think for me, that's been like the beautiful piece. And for you guys as a family, and the great philosopher Rocky Balboa once said, it ain't about how hard you hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. It's the best thing I've ever heard come out of his mouth. But Mandela says something as well, and he says, don't judge me by my successes. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again. And I've loved that about you guys. You've kept going, and you've kept going. And maybe just to encourage you, I was reading and thinking about Paul. You know, and Paul was a kingdom advancer. That's what he tried to do. He wanted to advance the kingdom, and we know whenever we want to advance the kingdom, the enemy doesn't like that, especially as a family. But I thought about this. But we have this treasure in jars of clay to show that this all-surpassing power is from God and not from us. We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed. Perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not abandoned. Struck down, but not destroyed. We always carry around in our body the death of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may be revealed in our body. For we who are alive are always being given over to death for Christ's sake, so that his life may also be revealed in our mortal body. So then, death is at work in us, but life is at work in you. And I've loved that about you guys. Actually, jars of clay, but the all-surpassing glory of Jesus is being shown through you guys as a family. And we love that about you. And thank you for giving your all. Like, I've learned so much from you guys as a family, and I know so many of us have. You know, they don't have a domestic worker. That's amazing. They got chores. Now you do. But for years you didn't. I mean, how many years? They've done family together in a beautiful way, in a unique way. And I invite you guys to just get to go and know them. I know Mike and Kate have loved spending time in their home. We have loved spending time with your home. So many of us have loved spending time in your home. So well done for fighting the good fight. Thank you for opening yourselves up tonight. Can we give them a round of applause, guys? So Francois is just going to wrap up for us, and we can take a seat. Thank you guys so much for being willing.
Thank you so much. That's really wonderful. It really is so incredible to be journeying with one another, isn't it, and what we learn. And so we just asked, I just wanted to take 10 minutes to just bring a few, but it's actually been so rich, guys. It's really been beautiful, and actually the number of scriptural references already. But I just thought just a thought, even with the title of this evening, of, we said it is to foster faith families, or foster faith in families. And I love that word, because I think it is something beautiful. It's a sense of, with it comes this idea of nurture. And, a child that's been fostered is to encourage development. That's what it's, the Oxford Dictionary say, or to promote development in someone or something. But I thought we could also use the word forging, because there's a balance here. There is a nurture, but there's also just hard work. Forging is when you develop something with there's an intense effort that is required, to actually develop something. And so that is the truth. And I thought that the picture also of, with water, carving through rock over time. So there's the forging, the hard work, but there's also the persistentness of something, where it just keep on doing the same thing. And I thought that is such an important aspect for us in our parenting, that you, as a couple together, or as a family together, would have that value, that you keep on keeping on. And you've spoken about this, so this is beautiful. So I thought the ingredients, if you just look of a family, is it starts with you as an individual. So if you want to develop a faith family, and that you are the most important one first, it starts with you. And I think it is essential that Luke 9:23, which I'm sure you all know, is that aspect of being a true disciple, which means that you've denied self. You can't build a faith family if self is still in rule, ruling your life. And if it's about self, it is to deny self. To deny self and to do it daily. It's like take up your cross daily and then the pursuit of following him. It is in that following of God, where we are true disciples, giving ourselves to that we can see a slipstream behind us and things change and impact it. And so that's where it starts. And then I think the next is obviously the marriage, that the family is within marriage. God has given us marriage. And I thought, to have a good marriage starts with making a good decision. It is so important for all of us who are not married yet, that God has given us a community of people. He's given you friends and family. Use them to help you make a good decision. That's where it started. It is so important who you choose to marry. And I think the biggest gift that you can give your children ever starts with you as a couple loving one another. And obviously, as a couple, unified in the sight of God and loving God passionately. Because the children find their identity in you as a unit, because they're half of each of you. And so that is just so important. So make good decisions. So if you want a faith family, start with making a good choice. And then seeing marriage as the principles of it. There's so many. I mean, Ephesians 5 is so beautiful, and you can expound on so much there. But to actually have this deep value that marriage is for life. Because if you start out with the option of trying it, it is just not helpful, and it will come through. And then the other is that there's this thing of truly valuing one another as equal partners before God, but having different roles, and the importance of that. Go with God's way of things, and then I think for me it is the secret of marriage, or parts thereof, is actually that we as spouses are called by God to help your partner, your spouse, to reach their full potential in God. And if we see that and serving one another in that, where there's 100% commitment from both, it is a glorious relationship that can foster faith-filled family. Then I thought, then with the children, the way we view our children, I think, is very important as well, where we see children as a gift from God, but it is the stewardship. If we realize that actually they are God's first and forever, and we have been given a period of time of stewarding them, stewarding their lives, and that we do it in that responsibility as unto God, knowing that we are given this beautiful gift of an eternal life, that we had a part in forming, but that we are stewarding for God. And so if that is there, then it helps you so much to just do that. And I think the priority for me is the thing that what you want to leave your kids first and foremost is a deep love for Jesus, for his word, and for his bride, for the community. We've seen so much about our community, but those are, to me, all three it's not equal, but they all are vitally important to actually establish that they'll receive from you a love for community. We see. And then the other is that Ephesians 2:10 for me is that if we have a conviction that we have been created by God for a purpose, and that it is to find those good works that God's prepared in advance for us to do. So as a parent, that's been always our thing, is that we've asked God to show us what is his purposes. Jeremiah 1:5 says that before I formed you, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart to be a prophet to the nations in this case. But that is for every child, and is to find that what purpose it is that God has given them, and to see that fulfilled in your child's life. If you as a parent have that, I think there's a long way to go. There's something beautiful. And so in that process, Christ-centered parenting is what it's about, not child-centered. I see so much of it. We've seen so much where it is about the child. Everything is about the child and the child reaching their potential and all those kind of things, but it's not. I was thinking, I wonder how the narrative would have been between Abram and God if Abram had a child-centered parenting, when he had to sacrifice Isaac. I'm sure he would have said, please don't ask this of me. I know you'll raise him, but what is this experience going to do to Isaac? He's going to reject you, and he's going to, please, just make it easy for Isaac. Whereas it's not. It's immediately he went, and Isaac did what he had to do at his generation when the time came. So it's a God-centered parenting. And I think the modeling of prioritizing God, you guys have shown that as well, where there are those non-negotiables, where the things that you go to committed to is a priority for you. The children pick up on it very quickly, and they know whether, if it doesn't fit in or is not convenient, you change things easily of a commitment to the things of God, and then why would they? And when they get the freedom to make their own decisions, why would they do that if God wasn't the highest priority for you? Then I think the modeling of dependency upon God is such a good thing. You've done a bit with the picture of the praying for dogs and all that, but just the thing where our children see from us that we depend on God, our dependency on God, to make them part of that journey. It fosters faith within them. Matthew 6:25, I've got all these references, but the time. But it is a good thing where we are not to have fear of anything because we know our Father. Then I think for us what has been high value is also the principle of heaven. Make heaven real for your children from the start. That it will be something that they look forward to, that eternity is a reality. Because if eternity is not something that they actually live with, they're going to be disappointed by things that they see in God's Word. Because when they're little children, you can tell them certain things and they'll just believe you. When life experiences come and that word is not directly true for them, they lose everything. So in the context of, they start questioning all that you've had, which is, the Bible is true in the context of eternity. And so from when they're little, let that be part of their life. Let it be part. Our kids, they dreamt. They had dreams of heaven. We shared these things with them. It is a reality that they look forward to, the reality. And you never know when they may even encounter a friend dying or anything like that. It's not for once they are old. They need to know him from little, I think. It fosters family. Then, for me, the principle of us living for an audience of one. Colossians 3, verse 1 to 3 is the thing of set your minds on eternity or heaven and things above. And then verse 23 speaks about whatever you do, do it as unto the Lord. If that is the principle for them, that then it just builds an ethic of all that they do with excellence in it because it's for God. And it makes it so much easier. Your praise, everything else comes from God. It is not because the world grows up with this thing of approval and that from man, but your approval from God is strong from little. And then the commitment to Christian community, you guys demonstrated so incredibly. I think we all know the saying that it takes a village to raise a child. And the Christian community, we contribute to each other's, and our children's maturity and all that is from the community. You as a parent have certain things you can deposit, but they learn so much else from others as well. So that commitment to community, if we want to do this, is huge. And then just a little word on the how. I think Deuteronomy 11, verse 19, is just a beautiful thing for me. It says, and it is Moses speaking about all the commandments and things that he's taught them. And he says, teach them to your children, talking about them when you sit at home, and when you walk along the road, and when you lie down, and when you get up. So it's just like a simple description of let it be part of everything in life. Let it just be part of your life, from a part of your language at all times, part of everything that you do. So I think the ways that we can do this is, as a family, build traditions. I think there's something so special about it. Create little traditions in your family where you have things, like in our case was Fridays, tried to do things together. That was this special day for us, and it often with takeaways and a movie, that we would watch in the girls. But then we would also talk about the movies, so your children can learn discernment. So you create these little moments of real deep valued interaction where this kind of things can be part of life. and they learn to discern with music, learn to listen to the words, talk about it when they think. Say, you can't just like the tune, you know. You've got to listen to the words. There's discernment, there's all those things in everything that we do. I think of the thing of meal times. Let it be around the table. It is such an incredible opportunity to establish these values, build about it. In that you create these, what we call cultures, habits of gratification. That you have these things that everybody shares. What are you grateful for in this day? Everyone can find something to say what you want to thank God for. So those gratitude practices and things that come in, and many others. I think of a situation where there's been a breakdown in relationships. If you've got the platform or a forum of a meal time where we're all going to be together again and talk, it makes it easier to bridge that opportunity to actually now say, what is the issue? And, you know, and that we do not have this immaturity of silent treatment and all these kind of things. It just goes nowhere. And offenses and all that you as a family can do. And so to create platforms that's normal in life where you can do that is I think, something so helpful in forging a Christian or a faith-filled community. And then the aspect of prayer, let it be part of our life, prayer, family devotions, all these kind of things. It's just beautiful. And then another point is this, the persistence. We had the Ashcombe stay with us 2 weeks ago or so, and Ingrid was just telling me afterwards, and she had a conversation with him where they were saying Devon, I don't know if you've met him, but anyway, Devon is this most amazing guy when you meet him. He is so front-footed, is so nice to engage, he goes out of his way. And they said that the most hidings that he ever got, the most fights that they had with him was because of his shyness and hiding behind his mom all the time. But they just persisted and persisted in getting that value of looking at people, talking to them. And now he's this incredible guy. So it's just to be encouraged by that, you know. I just think the thing of there's a measure of forging. It is hard work. It is effort that goes in there, but it is worth it. So as you set those principles. And then I think to have fun. That's what I love about you guys. You find a way to have fun in it, and that is so good. And create opportunities for celebration. Celebrate things. Celebrate the successes. Be together and the disappointments and things. Celebrate. But also as parents, I think we've got to, in the bedroom discussions and things, celebrate little victories that you have, you know. That if you're struggling or your child or something and there's been something where there's been a step forward, celebrate it. We need to learn to celebrate these little victories and things as well there. So there's that. And my final thing is just to know that in all of this, God is for you. He is for you. He and all the angelic forces and everything is with you in making a success of it. Because the family is a depiction of God's relationship also with us. He wants those families to succeed. He wants us to have these faithful communities in which others can come in and find wholeness and all that. So He is for you. And so that's such a beautiful thing to stand on and to know that it is there. And also to know that your child has been decided by the sovereignty and the wisdom of God to be placed in your home as the best environment for them to reach their full potential in God. Know that and believe that as parents. Because there's always going to be times when you think, and when your child even may say to you that they wish they'd been in another family, you know, or something like that. But that's where they are. And even their skills and abilities, their brain capacity, all that, they've got what they need. They are perfectly designed by God to fulfill His call on their lives and these plans, and live with that conviction within. And just find God leading you to find that. And so I want to just close with that. Say, Lord, I want to thank you for the incredible gift of an opportunity to raise a child, Lord, and to have a home and to have a family and to be together. And I thank you that even for single people, Lord, there's community that can form family. And that your picture and has always been that together we do the thing that you have called us to. And together you've given us all the instruments and the aid and all of that. And I pray that within each one of us there'll be a humility, God, to talk, a humility to even ask questions, but also a conviction that you have given us what we need to see your purposes fulfilled, to see the outflowing of the kingdom through our lives that would impact this world and it would make your name great. So bless every single one, Lord. Encourage and stir and just put your fire, your zeal within us to actually see the fulfillment of what you've called us to. We bless you, Lord. Amen. Is that good?